Our first experiences with virtual reality has shown us that the training is very efficient. As you can see in this example, the police officers come directly from their patrol duty and deposit their tactical belt and equipment such as the handgun and pepper spray. They keep the radio set with them for the training. The radio messages in the scenario are transmitted via the original radio set, just as they are during a real police mission. Next, they equip themselves with the VR equipment, consisting of VR goggles, computer backpack, as well as foot and hand sensors. Optionally, the participants are equipped with a shock belt, which triggers a pain stimulus when they, for example, get hit by a shot from the opposite side. All in all, the process of equipping takes about 5 minutes until everyone is ready for a VR scenario. It takes much longer for a real-life scenario of the same nature. As soon as the participants put on the goggles, the scenario gets started. It takes only a short time until immersion into the virtual world takes place. Most of the participants are no longer aware that they are standing in an empty hall because they effectively have the feeling that they are in this virtual world. In our case, on a square in Zurich and in a bank. The familiarization to the virtual world happens extremely fast. This also applies to resources. After a few seconds, you forget that you are only holding a generic weapon in your hand. In order to intensify this, there will be real weapons modified for VR training in the future. The sensory delusion mentioned, in the form of this immersion, the immersion in the virtual world, makes the training very effective. Emotions are generated, and the participants experience realistic stress. Studies have shown that constant repetition and realistic stress are the best preparation for serious operations. The scenario can be adapted before as well as during the training. Thus, interaction between the participants in the virtual world is possible. The level of the VR training can be adapted according to the experience of the trainees. Lie with your stomach on the floor and stretch out your arms. Hands behind your back. Good. Suspect arrested. All NPCs, the virtual people in the scenario, can be controlled with simple commands. For example, holding hands behind the head, handcuffing, and so on. All virtual characters can be used as civilians or as offenders. For example, each person can be armed with a knife or a pistol, or other people can be taken hostage. It is also possible that an instructor acts as a real-life offender, or as an instructor's assistant in the scenario. There are 3 different settings for this. From invisible, in which the instructor acts in the so-called ghost mode and can observe. In police uniform, in which he integrates himself into the team, or also as the opposite side. In summary, the training can be designed to be very flexible, can be geared to specific situations, and can be used in a very targeted manner. Communication with the team, but also with the environment and the perpetrators are very important in police operations, and also in VR training. This is also a focal point in VR training. By means of voice distortion spoken by the instructor, there is a very realistic communication with the virtual world. Everything that was spoken is recorded and can be evaluated and analyzed afterwards. This has a positive effect on how the individual trainee learns. Again, back to the immersion, which was mentioned before, or rather to the realistic training. With the help of the superimposed example, in which all the people take a step over the person who is lying on the floor, you can clearly see how the immersion works and how the participants have forgotten that they are actually standing in an empty hall. The virtual world has become so real for them that they avoid the virtual people and even try to lean against virtual walls. The interaction with the environment is important for a realistic impression and for reinforcing. Doors can be opened almost in the same way as in reality. The television can be switched off by pressing a button, and the shutters can also be operated by push buttons. A very important part of the new training and a completely new training methodology that has emerged is the so-called debriefing or after-action review. All the movements of each person, but also of the whole team, can be analyzed together since the system shows everything relentlessly. Thanks to this technique, you can see the angle of vision of each person shown on the screen as a green area, as well as the target line of the weapon, visible on the screen as a green line. This allows to make an exact statement about who saw what at which moment and who aimed at whom. This is very important in practical police training. Thanks to this evaluation option, the participants see the whole group from different perspectives, can get an overall view of the procedure, and learn from it as well. In conventional, real training, the participants can only imagine this to a certain extent, or they can only remember what he or she has done. The overall view is usually missing. The participants see the effects of their behavior on the whole group, such as distance behavior or speed. With simple software, you can review the scenario individually and at any time. The VR system offers us a future-oriented training solution in the field of tactical trainings.